Here at Salem News Channel, we have some go-to websites to stay up to speed on all the things that are going on in American politics and pop culture, other than, of course, our town hall media sites like Hot Air and Red State and Town Hall. We also like to go to The Federalist. They've been all over the Biden family scandals, and joining us right now is one of their most important bylines, David Harsanyi, the senior editor over at The Federalist. David, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's start with this WhatsApp message that we now know Hunter Biden sent to one of his contacts, one of the people who fed him millions of dollars from China. Take a look at what's in this text message here. He says, "I'm sitting here with my father." And then he starts talking like a mafia thug. You know, we want to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. Now means tonight. I'll make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, that includes President Obama, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, you'll regret not following my direction. And he again reiterates he's sitting there with his father. I don't know, David, seems like a big deal.
Seems like something worth investigating, I think. Yeah, I mean, there are numerous occasions where he at least says that his dad's part of part of the business, right? He stops by at I think it was in LA, a hotel meeting. He obviously there's this message. So it seems to me that that's worth investigating. And my theory is, and obviously we don't know yet, I'm not going to jump to conclusions right now, but my working theory is that that the IRS and Justice Department, at least the Justice Department, according to the whistleblower who brought this forward, needed to slow walk this investigation because if you brought Hunter Biden in front of a lawyer, they would ask him, who is the big guy, or was your dad sitting next to you? And if he lied about it, that'd be easily debunked. And if he told the truth, that would be a big problem.
Yeah. And it seems like a U.S. attorney actually stepped in the way of these IRS agents, senior level IRS agents who are investigating this, from even asking those questions. In fact, you on social media yesterday pointed out another occurrence of that. Let's take a look at that tweet where you point out this part. FBI said, any times when he was in the office, did you hear Hunter Biden say that he was setting up a meeting with his dad with them while dad was still in the office? The respondent, Mr. Walker, said yes. And then the FBI agent just changes the subject. David, this has all the hallmarks of your classic Washington, D.C. scandal. There's crimes involved here. We know that because Hunter Biden is pleading guilty to crimes. You've got obstruction of justice, and you've now got to cover up. I mean, what am I missing? Why isn't this bigger?
Well, why isn't it bigger? Because it's about the Biden family, and
right.
Joe Biden's president, and he's a Democrat. That's why it's not bigger. Now, we don't even, perhaps there were felonies involved, but really you don't need there to be felonies. You don't even need there to be crimes for something to be corrupt. It is corrupt for the vice president to participate in this kind of shady money-making scheme that basically leverages his name to make millions of dollars, right? I don't know what it was, $2.2 million that they know of right now. Yeah. But I want to quickly say, we also have other evidence. We have people on the record that the New York Post had on the record saying that Joe Biden had participated in these deals as well. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but a lot of it. And it's kind of incredible how little, as you say, or intimated, how little curiosity there is from major media.
I mean, listen, I don't want to complain too much about it because people aren't stupid, and it actually helps our ratings. It helps other alternatives. It helps the Federalist because people know it's out there. They're finding the information. They're going to seek it out, even if they're not going to see it from mainstream outlets. But it does, by putting it in mainstream outlets, I think NBC was the only network yesterday to even talk about this. That does begin the momentum in terms of this town actually taking it seriously and having that feeding frenzy you often see amongst journalists and politicians.
Yeah, I mean, I have already seen a lot of the MSNBC types and so on basically framing it as some kind of conspiracy, that there is nothing really going on here, obviously, that it's completely legal. Some of them have the temerity to say that it just shows no one is above the law. But yeah. So, but yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't trust people as much. I know that people aren't stupid, but they might have a fatigue with this stuff. They might think it's a tit for tat. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I think there's a lot to mine here, and maybe there is, maybe it's over in the sense as far as a legal thing goes. I mean, maybe the House will have subpoenas and so on that people will just ignore. So I don't know how it's going to go, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there may not be a DOJ action here, but it will be a political action, and that's up then to the House Republicans to actually make hay with it. I wonder, though, also how the Republican nominee for president might take this story and turn it to their political advantage. Donald Trump has a way of making this story, which is about Biden family corruption and corruption literally at the highest levels in the Oval Office, and he makes it about himself, about how he's a victim of a two-tier system of justice, which he is. But I think that then by making it about how he has been dealt with unfairly, it distracts from these very real crimes here by the Biden family.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me of that. I think that's a real bad way to go about it, but that's how Donald Trump operates and always has. So for me, the problem here is I don't even like Donald Trump, but he is right. There is a two-tiered system of justice, and that's a huge problem for all Americans. It's a problem for the pro-life protester who has the DOJ coming after him, or the people who show up at school board meetings who the DOJ is going after them, which is much more important than Donald Trump. And Hunter Biden gets away with not just this, we should mention, but gun charges. Literally the kind of charges that Joe Biden himself in 2013 said we should go after harder, lying on a background check. So yeah, it's a two-tiered system of justice, and it should bother all Americans that the elite get away with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is a great point. And I think, listen, I think President Trump actually is an incredibly gifted politician in his own right, especially despite winning the presidency, he's still kind of a novice at this game compared to his competitors. If he wants to make the case of the two tiers of justice in this country, which is a real issue, keep himself out of it. That everyone already knows what he's been through. But you're right. Focus on the pro-life protester who was arrested at 6 a.m. with FBI agents storming into his house. I don't see any FBI agents storming into Hunter Biden's locations. In fact, it looks like the Justice Department gave Hunter Biden's attorneys a heads up that his storage locker might end up getting raided.
Yeah, I mean, if this whistleblower is telling the truth, and I don't know for sure that he is, but I don't see any reason for him to want to lie about this stuff. And reading through those depositions or whatever, he has a lot of specifics, and he didn't seem like someone who's just making stuff up. But you have to investigate this stuff. I want to also go back just one thing about it's good for the Federalist, it's good for Salem, it's good for Town Hall that this happens, but those places and those outlets do not have the kind of money and the kind of reach that a lot of these bigger, that the New York Times could have if it was investigating this. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's just a fact. And that's the problem. In fact, they work to undermine the truth from coming out. They take leaks and frame things in different ways to make it seem innocuous. So they actually work with these, they have these huge budgets, and they actually work against people who are trying to figure out the truth for political reasons. We're obvious about our ideological outlooks, but that doesn't mean that the truth doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right. They don't cover the story. They cover up the story in their own way. Exactly. One last issue here, and we only have a minute left, but it goes to the election interference, and I'm talking about those 51 members of the Intelligence Committee who interfered in the 2020 election. Turns out the FBI knew this laptop was authentic. They knew it wasn't Russian disinformation dating back to 2019. They kept their mouth shut during the 2020 election. What to make of that, and what are the repercussions? What can be done about it?
Well, they're corrupt, and it is likely that they knew that Hunter laptop a year before people were censoring that story, a year before a bunch of them signed that letter that Politico ran for them, saying that the laptop story had all the signs of Russian disinformation. Many of them almost surely knew that it was real, and that makes them incredibly corrupt. That makes them I think that they undermine that election more than Russian Facebook ads or anything everyone was getting hysterical about in 2016.
They chose the winner. They decided they were going to do whatever they could within their power to make sure that the American people went the way they wanted them to, and it appears they did. David Harsanyi, sobering stuff. We're used to that over with your work at The Federalist. Thanks for joining us. More to come on O'Connor tonight.